Another edition of Riding Home. Dean Legge, Dylan Webber. Georgia starts the season this weekend in Nashville, 7:30 or 7 o'clock, one of the two, for the Dogs and Commodores. Dogpost got you covered. Go to dogpost.com, dawgpost.com for all the details. Dylan, Kirby today, I'm trying to think of what he said that matters. I mean, some people would say, Zamir is healthy. I mean, I don't think that's really anything new, and that he trusts his knee.
Yeah.
What did I
Yeah.
miss?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think Zamir is asked about almost every press conference.
Right.
So I think we've gotten that much that he's healthy and he's going to be able to play football this upcoming season. But other than that, I mean, what kind of stood out to me was about the receivers, and he said that he's been saying Tyler Simmons is probably the main guy, and
Right.
I think that's kind of been known. But he said otherwise it's by committee, and he said about 8 or 9 guys,
Well,
which
yeah. I mean, someone's not separating themselves yet, or no one has separated themselves in a big way, which means to me it would sound like that you might be a little bit worried about consistency with guys. But that's my speculation, not really anything else more than that.
yeah, it's hard to say. I thought it would be a little less than that, but because you can't 8 or 9 guys is a lot of receivers to roll into a game. So I
Well,
think
you've
it's just
got
going
you've
to
got Kager, Simmons, Demetrius, Trey Blunt, Matt Landers, Kyrus Jackson,
Kyrus
Tommy
Jackson.
Bush. We've not
Uh,
heard a ton about, but
it doesn't seem like, from my
right, and then you've
understanding,
got Blaylock and Pickens, so that's 9 guys right there, and that means
yeah,
one or two guys who are on this. Yeah, about 2 guys or one guy that's in the program at receiver probably won't be in the rotation this year. You know, I don't know. That's it seems like you're playing a lot, but then again, last year they played a lot of receivers as well. But they did have specifically 2 guys, Ridley and Simmons, that they really stuck with.
yeah, and I'm sure in game, like you said, it'll just be people will have to separate themselves, and whoever's able to do that will earn more snaps.
Here's kind of my thing is I know everybody is expecting Georgia to go up there and crush Vanderbilt, and I do think that they'll win. I mean, I don't think to me there's no question as if they'll win. I wonder if they'll look as good as people want them to look. I'm not sure if that will be the case.
I I've been a little skeptical as well,
But
just because.
the one thing I do want to say, and it is coach speak, but I think in this case this week it is actually kind of true. Vanderbilt does have some very good offensive players. Specifically, the running back is pretty good, and I think the wide receiver and tight end are probably a notch below the running back, but they're good as well.
Yeah, definitely, they're solid, and it's the first game of the season.
Yeah.
I don't think Georgia's going to come out and just crush them from the start. Just because you got to get into the flow of the game, and I mean they haven't played football, an actual football game, in what 9 months, 8 months? It's a
Well,
long
I'll
time.
say this: the line, of course, doesn't really matter when it's a 3 touchdown line, but
Yeah,
it just dipped slightly below 21 for a moment late after midnight last night. It's been flirting with 20 and a half, but at that number, you're such a significant your percentage chance of winning is over 99%. So I think what people want to see is a solid showing from Georgia. Um, I think this is a great way to start the season. You're on the road, you get that out of the way, and then you've got a conference game. So that means from this point forward, they only have 7 more conference games to deal with. So you're immediately that's gone. I mean, the Gators won't play a conference game until they host Kentucky. I think the third week of their season. So Georgia gets to get in and get out there. I like the way this is set up. I just guess my only thing is without them playing, we can't totally know everything to expect. I think where Vanderbilt's going to get in trouble is that they're not going to be able to slow Georgia down. I mean, their defense could maybe stick in there for a quarter and a half or 2.5 quarters, but inevitably, I think they're going to have a problem.
I mean
That's my
especially with
expectation.
the offensive line for Georgia, it's just They don't even have, I don't think, close to the physicality to match it. The
No.
size and strength to, I don't even know, come close to slowing them down. Um, I don't know. That's going to be a huge issue for them. And Georgia won't even have to throw the ball much, but I think they'll be able to run all over. They should at least. I think that should be the easiest part for them.
The interesting thing is going to be how does Georgia manage to? Are they going to want to come out and throw these quick screen deals to Simmons and to other guys, or are they not going to challenge Vanderbilt down the field a ton? I wonder how close to the line of scrimmage their passing game will be. My suspicion is it will be relatively close to the line of scrimmage, but I don't. I am skeptical that Vanderbilt. I'm skeptical that anybody outside of Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and pick a Big 12 champion is going to really be able to slow Georgia down significantly. But man, I was wrong about the Sugar Bowl. I didn't take seriously how much it would hurt to have the best player on the three levels of the defense to not be there. But the good news is two of those three come back this weekend. It will be interesting to see what happens with Jordan Davis as he prepares for his return. He hasn't played since the Alabama game. Monty Rice was banged up before, I think, the Auburn game. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. And he didn't play again, did he? Did he play against Alabama?
I don't think he played after that, and that's what I'm saying. I think
either.
from the UMass game on, he was not playing. So, it's a good thing. Now, Jake Fromm said today that Georgia wants to get tested early. I don't know if this is a test in the general, the way that a lot of people would think of it, but I do think it is one of the best ways to start the season because again, you're on the road and you get to play a conference game, and it's not a super taxing conference road game necessarily, but it's a good one.
It's harder than opening up against like Austin Peay at home. I mean, it does test you a little more than that, and especially the young guys. That's what Kirby talked about specifically today with opening with a road conference game, is that you really learn a lot about the freshmen because it's going to be their first college game ever. So, this isn't some easy game for them. It is a meaningful game on the road.
No question. It's a game that matters, and I think that it's such an important thing to stress. It's like Ohio State playing at Indiana. I mean, we saw that a couple of years ago, and I think it's a great way they did it on a Friday night or a Thursday night. That would be even more ideal, in my opinion. I would have loved to see that. But
I would be cool.
But the gods of the TV world decided that they wanted to push as much of the ACC network as they could. They go with Clemson, Georgia Tech. Makes a lot of business sense, and it gets an ACC mandated contractual Thursday night game out of the way. The SEC I think only has one a year, and that's taken up by the Thanksgiving Mississippi State Ole Miss game. So they're not going to play on Thursdays if they can help it in this league at home. Was there anything else for you that jumped out from what the kids said or what Kirby had to say?
Other than that, those things. I mean, once again, Kirby just kind of talked about expectations. A question he really does not like. Well, never likes to be.
Sorry, but I mean, it's what this is.
I know. And so he got, I don't want to say upset about that, but always a little annoyed when reporters bring in outside expectations and ask him about that.
Well, are we only supposed to ask questions that make him happy, all the time? I mean, we don't know what it's like inside. No one does. That's why there are questions being asked about expectations. I mean, the expectation, judging on this ranking, is that they should play in the college football playoff. I mean, I don't, they don't. I mean, it coaches a lot of times, I think human beings a lot of times like to talk out of both sides of their mouth. And in this case, you've got Georgia that has, I guess its own expectations of what they want to be. They're not going to say, hey, we should win the national championship or our expectation is to win the national championship. I don't really know how any person or any team right now could really expect to win the national championship outside of maybe Clemson. But, you know, that's why people are in the seats. That's why people are buying, you know, tickets to Georgia, and probably 25,000, 30,000 Georgia fans are going up to watch them play in Nashville, because there are expectations. And Kirby is the one that raised them with the 93,000 in the spring. So this is a little internal dynamics of the politics inside the room there. And I get what he's saying, and coaches, generally speaking, get easily annoyed. But, you know, they're not. It can't be odd that there are questions about expectations coming into this season. This is a team.
Yeah.
This is a team that can, I don't know about should, win the national championship. I mean, we're talking about almost 40 years since that's happened at an institution that should be winning a national championship every 7 to 10 years in football. It's the expectation is that people are annoyed that this is taking so long, and it's not Kirby's fault that it is. But you know, expectations are a common thing. We all have it. When my wife comes home, her expectation is that there's not a stinky diaper in the trash. Is that too soon?
No, I mean, but what are your expectations? Because apparently, you know, they differ. Maybe you, like Kirby, shouldn't care about the outside expectations and should care about your own.
And in that case, those of course are inside expectations, I guess you could say. But I think the thing about Kirby is that he is quite smart, and that he's not going to publicly say. I mean, maybe his frustration is, hey, look, quit asking me these dumbass questions about expectations, because y'all know I'm not going to answer them. Of course we have expectations. Our expectations are to win every game. And he's annoyed with the question coming up as often as it is because he's not going to answer it. But, I mean, if you get up there and you're a coach and you say our goal is to win the national championship, you sound like Lou Holtz in South Carolina in 2000, whatever it was, when he came there. And, of course, they didn't win the national championship. They didn't win a conference championship at Carolina. You set yourself up to look like a moron. So I get it. But I get not saying it publicly. But internally, if the goal is, I mean, goal and expectation are probably the wrong way to put it. But if the notion is to go out there, field a really good team, and you know, be great people, you already had that. And he's working at the ACC network now. There was no need to fire Mark Richt. This was only about winning a national championship. And if I'm the only person that keeps talking about it, I don't care, because that's what this is.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I mean, I don't know. I think everyone, including inside the program, we've discussed this enough. National championship is the expectation, because anything short, you know, they're not going in saying, okay.
Man, they said last year that everything that they've said that coming into this season, I can't remember the exact quote, okay, but it was something about how, you know, what we've done is not good enough. Well, you've won the conference. You've done everything but win a national championship.
Yeah, you were one play short of it.
Yeah, so there can't be, you know, like it's not like this is really that complex to discuss as it relates to the term expectation. Again, now, he may be pissed off because he's tired of hearing the question, which is fine. I mean, I would get aggravated about, I mean, Zamir is the one that comes up all the time.
Every press conference.
Listen, the other thing too is it is our job to ask questions. It doesn't necessarily matter if the person who's receiving the question doesn't like the question. I mean, it's just the question. I mean, if you're trying to piss the person off that you're asking the question to, maybe you should rethink what you're doing. But you shouldn't purposely try to kiss their ass, and you shouldn't purposely try to piss them off. You're just there to gather information, whatever that is. This has become a lecture. This has become a lecture on media, which it shouldn't really be. People don't want to hear that, but that's what goes on. I mean, you know, Kirby doesn't. The Kirby Smart Show is just 15 minutes of not answering legitimate questions, kind of. So his only time we get to talk to him is after the game and the 3 times that he meets with the media during the week. You don't
Yeah.
want to waste that time on stuff that doesn't matter necessarily. But anyway,
Moving on.
yeah, moving on. Sorry, I apologize to our audience, but it's uh,
Happens. No, that's part of it.
here. But
I'm sure.
go ahead.
I think people are curious about kind of the dynamic of it all. I know people on Dog Post have asked about it before.
Sure, yeah, as they should. I mean, it's
It's
Kirby.
interesting.
Kirby is about winning, and he wants to know what he's got to do to win. That he has to deal with us X amount of times a week, I don't know that it gets in his way, but he wants to use that to his advantage, whatever it is. Whatever the situation is, Kirby Smart wants to use it to his advantage. That's what it is. And answering questions about expectations or whatever, if it doesn't help him, he is going to get annoyed / not answer them. And that's why you see sometimes that he can be grumpy Kirby. I didn't think he was super grumpy today, by the way, but
No, not at all.
I've
He
I've
was
seen it before.
no. He's usually pretty good on Mondays because the TV crews are there.
Do they not come
He's
on?
usually
They don't come on Tuesdays.
not really no.
Well,
But
other
continuing,
comments? Yes. Go ahead.
let's see. He talked about right guard a little bit today. He didn't give a definitive answer. He said Ben Cleveland and Cade Mays were still duking it out for it, but that Cade was working at about every other single position I can imagine, including both tackles and center.
That's interesting.
I get. Is he the backup center? Cade Mays?
I was actually, believe it or not, just about to ask you that. I don't know.
I think he may be. 'Cause I don't think they would work him there if they thought he was going to be the third string.
I think
That's my.
I think what they've got in Cade Mays is really something that you just rarely get in college football, which is a guy that is a Swiss Army knife. He would be the equivalent of a guy in the secondary being able to play all four positions. And I think he's so much better. That's the wrong way to put it. He is very good in that he is one of the top 6 guys for sure. But the question really, it seems to me, is he better than Ben is at right guard? And I don't know if we answered that question yet because it seems like Ben is the person. I mean, Ben is basically gonna play right guard, whereas Cade can play anything. So Cade may be the backup at every spot.
Well, that's what I was. I think that's probably the case. He said Kirby said Ben was working at right guard almost entirely, but a little bit of left guard. But I think Cade certainly is the backup left tackle. I would say if he's not the starting right guard, is certainly the backup right guard.
Right.
If Jamari is playing, Jamari might be the backup right tackle, but I would still think they would put Cade in over him. And in center, yeah, I don't know who else.
I don't know either. It's a good question.
I mean, I think he's in front of Clay Webb.
Yes, it seems that way.
Yeah, so I think he might legitimately be the backup of every single position. And that's why I think they'll probably start Ben Cleveland at right guard, just so they'll have Cade to roll in whenever they need him to.
That's one thing to watch. What are you going to watch? I mean, we got a couple more of these to go. I mean, I don't feel like I feel like I'm trying to shove everything for the whole week into this one. I don't know if this is a broadcast or not, but this one show. It's the Monday of the week. What's it like on campus right now? I mean, this is not a home game, so people aren't going to be super jacked for that.
I don't know. It doesn't really seem as if football season is here for them. I think when the first home game comes, it will seem more.
Yeah, that's what
aside.
Well, look, let's cut it off here. Go to dogpost.com and check out the site. We're going to have what we are hearing a little bit later today. That will be mainly about recruiting. And then later this week, you're going to want to read this feature that we have on Mikhail Sherman's mother and her journey from West Africa to the United States. Dylan, appreciate it. We'll catch up with you. Everybody, we'll see you over on the website.